of division into opportunities for deeper regional and continental cooperation, integration, and development. Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, today we emphasize the critical importance of the Women, Peace and Security agenda. Empowering women and their active participation in peace-building efforts is essential. Women possess unique perspectives and solutions that can lead to more sustainable and inclusive peace processes. In our ongoing commitment to advancing the Women, Peace and Security agenda, the ICGLR has undertaken significant strategic steps. In 2023, we launched the first ever Regional Gender Barometer, a groundbreaking tool that systematically tracks and measures the progress of gender equality across the region and in our member states. This innovative initiative provides a framework for assessing women's participation in political, economic, and security decision-making processes. Complementing this effort, we are currently incorporating local perspectives into the Women, Peace and Security Agenda project. This project focuses on ensuring women's participation, protection, and empowerment in peace and security efforts within the Great Lakes region, as we actively support the implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 and related resolutions, recognizing women's vital role in conflict prevention, resolution, and peace building. We have also been developing a multilingual lexicon for detecting and mitigating gender hate speech across our region. This initiative addresses the growing challenge of digital violence that threatens women's participation in public and political life. In addition, following the adoption of the gender-responsive mediation strategy by our esteemed member states, the ICGLR has taken significant steps to empower women's groups and distinguished individuals within the region as insider mediators. Our approach prioritizes enhancing mediation capacities and actively involving local stakeholders, including religious and community leaders, in our mediation initiatives. These initiatives underscore our unwavering commitment to addressing the persistent challenges faced by women in our region. While we have made progress, significant barriers remain in participation, prevention, protection, and recovery. Sexual violence continues to be used as a weapon of conflict, and women remain underrepresented in key decision-making roles. ICGLR continues to play a crucial role in addressing the illegal exploitation of natural resources, particularly minerals, within the Great Lakes region. It achieves this by facilitating regional initiatives, such as the Regional Initiative on the Fight Against the Illegal Exploitation of Natural Resources, which was approved by Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government in Lusaka 2010. It focuses on certifying trade in conflict-free minerals and promoting responsible supply chains. We encourage member states to adopt measures that hold legal entities accountable for participating in illegal mineral exploitation. As a region, we need to extend accountability beyond individual perspectives. Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot overlook the significant role of the guarantor institutions of the peace, security, and cooperation framework must play. Together, we must strengthen these partnerships to tackle the root causes of conflict collaboratively and enhance our regional relations. The road towards lasting stability and peace in our region requires mutual trust, respect, and commitment to understanding and addressing the concerns of our neighbors. In our discussions today, Your Excellencies, you will also concentrate on adopting strategies to revitalize the PSC framework. This framework is not merely a document, but a promise of collaboration and a call to action. As we consider the action plan for revitalization, let us approach it with the spirit of Ubuntu and a shared vision for a brighter future, recognizing that instability in one country is instability everywhere. Furthermore, the ICGLR's role remains pivotal in fostering mutual trust and respect within the region. The ICGLR requires your unwavering support, Your Excellencies, as we collaborate to navigate the complexities of our regional landscape. Let us harness the ICGLR's potential to facilitate dialogue, create synergies, and implement effective strategies that will promote stability and development across the region. Much needs to be accomplished to achieve this, but foremost is the necessity of convening ICGLR statutory meetings, such as this one. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as you already know, embarking on discussions outlined in your agenda, and more importantly, on the path to peace, is never straightforward nor simple. It requires patience, persistent effort, and the courage to make difficult decisions for the greater good. Collectively, we possess the strength to overcome the challenges we face as a region and to build a peaceful and prosperous future for our peoples. In closing, Your Excellencies, I urge all of us to reaffirm our commitment to peace and security in the Great Lakes region. Let us seize this opportunity to collaborate and, above all, to act, turning our commitments into tangible actions that will create real change for the people we serve. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Joao. Your Excellency, with your permission, may I now invite the representative of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, which is one of the guarantor institutions. And to do that is Mr. Sgei Mbarek Ahmed. The floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على النبي الكريم. Son Excellence Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Président de la République de l'Ouganda. Son Excellence Evariste Ndayishimiye, Président de la République du Burundi. Leurs Excellences, Messieurs les Présidents et chefs des délégations des pays signataires de l'accord cadre d'Addis Abeba.
The signatories of the Addis
Excellences,
Abeba
chers collègues,
framework agreement.
des institutions
Excellencies,
notamment
colleagues from the guarantor institutions, notably the United Nations, SADC, ICGLR, Excellency, members of the Technical Support Committee, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed.
Au nom de son Excellence,
On behalf of His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, President of the African Union Commission, who I am representing at this 12th Rome meeting, and on my own behalf, I would wish, first of all, to thank you, Your Excellency, Yoweri MUSEVENI, and through you, the government and the people of Uganda, for the invitation to participate in this meeting, and for the warm welcome as well as the hospitality that was extended to my delegation from the time we arrived in the Pearl of Africa. I would also wish to commend the efforts of the outgoing Evariste Ndayishimiye, champion of the African Union for youth, peace and security, from the 11th Rome meeting in Bujumbura in Burundi that was concentrated on the revitalization of the framework agreement for the DRC and the region. It is here where we need to commend and welcome the efforts of all those that have participated, and through these efforts we have been able to come up with a plan of action for the revitalization of the framework agreement after the decision of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union in Addis Ababa in 2023, 10 years after the signing of this framework agreement in 2013. The African Union welcomed the conclusions of the meetings between the EAC, SADC and ICR that have led to the reinforcing of the Luanda process and the Nairobi process. It is through this that the African Union designated His Excellency Paul Nyasimbe of Togo as a mediator after the efforts of João Lourenço of Angola, with the objective of merging the Luanda and Nairobi processes in order to address the root causes of the conflict in DRC and in the other countries of the region. Beyond these African initiatives, we have the Doha, Qatar initiatives and that of Washington in the United States of America that are ongoing after the meeting between the mediator and the facilitators panel in Togo on the 7th of May this year. We agreed to share out this work as follows. Military issues with Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, dialogue with armed groups, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, economic regional cooperation, Excellence Mashishi Mokawertzi is supposed to handle that, reconciliation involving women, youth and civil society to Excellency Catherine Samba-Panza, and then humanitarian issues, Excellency Charles Walker Zawudi will handle. After your decision, 16th decision, and in African Solidarity from October 2024, my colleague Binet Adjot, Special Envoy of the African Union on Women, Peace and Security, we organized in Luanda in November a regional forum for women leaders through His Excellency João Lourenço, mediator in this process. This high-level forum was an occasion to mobilize women leaders from the continent, especially former heads of state, ministers, researchers, civil society representatives, as well as community leaders to support the mediation through the Luanda-Nairobi processes by enhancing regional solidarity and participation of women in order to put an end to wars in this Great Lakes region. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, what should we look forward to in trying to revitalize the framework agreement processes? It is important to consolidate the regional prevention mechanisms as well as those for prevention of all conflicts by putting all our efforts, and in that regard, the African Union efforts for revitalization involve alignment of African Union initiatives with other regional and international initiatives, especially those that are being undertaken by Qatar as well as the United States of America in a more unified framework. It is an opportunity for us to mobilize the necessary resources for us to reach the results we are looking for. In conclusion, we should be more determined. We should show more solidarity, because by taking concrete diplomatic engagements and honoring them, sustainable peace.
The United Nations Secretary General Special Representative of Great Lakes Region deliver his opening remarks on behalf of the United Nations Secretary General as a representative of one of the guarantor institutions of Peace, Security, Cooperation Framework on DRC and the region.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République du Burundi, Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République d'Ouganda, avec votre aimable permission, je vais vous livrer les remarques de Monsieur the Secretary of the Nation, Antonio Guterres,
during this 12th high-level meeting of the Regional Oversight Mechanism of the Peace, Security and Cooperation Framework. The remarks are as follows. Excellency, Your Excellency,
Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement,
and gentlemen, heads of government and heads of state, the chair of the African Union Commission, ladies and gentlemen, in your different various capacities, I wish to thank His Excellency, Mr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for having once again accepted to host this very important high-level meeting on the road and for the framework agreement for peace, security and cooperation on the DRC and the whole region. That illustrates the commitment, the resolute commitment of Uganda towards dialogue, cooperation and sustainable peace in this region. I would wish to commend the leaders and their delegations present here. Your participation to this meeting indicates the collective will to revitalize the framework agreement and mostly to construct together sustainable solutions to the mighty of crises that are continuing to affect the Great Lakes region. In fact, despite the big economic potential of the region, the peoples of the population live through a terrible crisis. M23 attacks opened a new cycle of violent conflict in the east of the DRC, which led to the illegal occupation of a very big part of North Kivu, then later of South Kivu. This situation led to the deterioration of relations between different states of the region, up to bring up a risk of regional agitation. The human situation has also become alarming. Violation of human rights, particularly in Goma and Bukavu, under control of M23. This brings about a lot of suffering to the populations. Hundreds of thousands of people displaced. Every day, women and children are victims of sexual violence. This evening, many children denied education with an empty stomach.
déracinés
and
de leur
their
foyer et de
parents
leur communauté
are
d'origine
derooted
peinent
from
à
their
assurer
homes.
leur
So
subsistance.
they have got out of trouble in ensuring the survival
Excellences,
of
Mesdames
these
et Messieurs,
children.
distingués
Excellencies,
invités,
ladies
cette
and gentlemen,
situation doit
distinguished
cesser.
guests,
J'implore ainsi
I
votre engagement
would
collectif
like to call upon
obtenir un
collective
cessez-le-feu
commitment
immédiat
so that we may
entre les parties
obtain
au
immediate
conflit
ceasefire
afin de
between
permettre l'acheminement
the parties
de
at
l'aide
war,
humanitaire
so that we
aux
may be
populations
able to
affectées
deliver
et rétablir la confiance
humanitarian
pour donner
relief
une chance
to
aux négociations
the people
de
living in
paix.
that area, and that will give chance to
J'appelle
negotiations
également
towards peace.
à la mise en
I would
œuvre
like to
intégrale
call up
des dispositions de la
for
résolution 2773
following
du
the
Conseil de sécurité
disposals of
qui devrait constituer notre boussole
provisions of the
commune
resolution
afin de
2773
sortir
of
de cette
2025
crise
of the
qui n'a que trop
Security
duré.
Council, which should
Je saisis cette occasion pour
constitute
saluer la
our
mobilisation continue
guidelines in order to get out of this crisis.
organisations
I would like to take this
multilatérales
occasion
africaines,
to
illustrées
commend
notamment
the mobilization,
désignation
continued mobilization
du président fort
of multilateral organizations in
Togo
Africa,
en
illustrated
tant que
by
médiateur de
the
l'Union
nomination of
africaine
President
pour
Faure
la crise
Yassib
entre
of Togo
la
as
RDC
mediator
et
of
le
the African
Rwanda,
Union for
ainsi que
the crisis between the
l'initiative
DRC and Rwanda,
conjointe de la
as well as
communauté
the joint
africaine
initiative of
et de la communauté de développement
the-
d'Afrique australe
the East African
qui a
Community
nommé
and
un collège
SADC,
de facilitateurs
which
comprenant
appointed
deux
a college of
figures
facilitators,
féminines remarquables.
including two
À cet égard, je
remarkable
tiens à
ladies.
exprimer ma gratitude
In this regard, I would
au
like to
président
express
João
my
Lourenço,
thanks and gratitude to
président en
President
exercice
João
de l'Union
Lourenço,
africaine,
who is
pour
the
son
President
leadership
Chair of the African Union,
et le
for
travail
his leadership
substantiel
and substantial
accompli
work
dans le
accomplished
cadre du processus
during the framework of
Rwanda, dont
the process
les
of
gains
Rwanda,
devront être
whose
préservés,
gains must be
permettant
preserved,
de fournir
enabling us to
une base solide de
put
travail
in place
au
a
nouveau
solid base
médiateur.
for the work
De même,
of the new
La
mediator.
signature
In the same way,
le
the signature
25
the
avril
25th
dernier
April,
d'une
last
déclaration
25th
de
April
principe
of
entre la
a
RDC
principle
et le Rwanda
of
sous
declaration
la
principle
facilitation
between the
des
DRC
États-Unis
and Rwanda
d'Amérique,
on the facilitation of
ainsi que
under the
l'adoption
facilitation of the
d'une
United
déclaration
States,
conjointe
as
entre
well
la
as the adoption
RDC
of
et
a
le
joint
23
declaration between the
sous
DRC
l'égide
and
de
M23
l'État
with
du Qatar
under
représente
the aegis
pas
of the state of
encourageant.
Qatar represents
Ces initiatives
encouraging
sont les
steps.
bienvenues
These
car
initiatives are so welcome
elles viennent
because
renforcer
they come to
et
strengthen
compléter les
and
efforts
supplement
africains
the African
sous
efforts
la houlette
under
du
the
médiateur de l'Union
mediation
africaine.
of the African Union.
Cependant,
However,
pour parvenir
in
à
order
une
to
synergie d'action
succeed,
cohérente,
to have in
il est
place
important
coherent
de bien
actions
articuler
of synergy,
et de
it's
coordonner
important
les
to articulate and
différentes
coordinate the
initiatives
different
diplomatiques
diplomatic
en cours.
initiatives which are
Je
underway.
félicite et
I wish
remercie
to commend and
à cet
thank
égard
in this
le
regard
président
President
Nyasibe
Nyasibe
pour l'organisation
for
le
organizing
17 mai à
the
Lomé
17th
d'une réunion de
17th
concertation
May in
avec
Lomé,
le panel de
a
facilitateurs
consultative meeting
et des
with the panel of
représentants de la
facilitators
Commission
and
de
representatives
l'Union africaine,
of the African
des
Union
Nations
Commission,
Unies,
United
ainsi que
Nations,
des
as well as
États-Unis
the United
d'Amérique.
States of America.
Excellences, Mesdames et
Excellencies,
Messieurs, il
ladies
y a
and
12 ans,
gentlemen, 12 years
la
ago,
signature de l'accord
the
cadre
signature
d'Addis
of
Abeba
the
a posé
framework agreement of Addis
les
Ababa
fondations
put in place
d'une approche
the basis
collaborative
for a collaborative
pour rompre
approach in
définitivement
order to put an
avec
end
les cycles de
the
conflits
conflict
récurrents.
cycles which
À
are
cet
recurrent.
effet,
To
la
this effect,
revitalisation
the
de cet
revitalization
accord
of
cadre
this framework
est
agreement
impérative.
is imperative
non
not only
seulement pour s'adapter aux
to
enjeux
adapt it to
et
the
défis actuels,
stakes
mais
and
aussi pour
the
trouver
present
des
challenges,
solutions
but also
pour
to make us
renforcer
find
la mise en
solutions
œuvre
so that we
de
may
certains
strengthen
engagements.
the implementation of
Les
certain
Nations
commitments.
Unies,
The United
à
Nations,
travers le bureau
through
de
the
l'envoyé
office
spécial
of
pour la
the
région
special
du Grand Lac,
envoy of the Great Lakes
reste
region, to the
mobilisé
Great Lakes region,
accompagner
is
les pays de la
mobilized
région des Grands Lacs
and is
sur
available
le chemin de la
to
paix,
assist
du développement
the countries of
durable,
the Great Lakes region
prospérité
on the
partagée.
path for peace,
J'en appelle
sustainable
à votre
development,
autorité
and
et
prosperity.
votre sens
I call upon you,
responsabilité
I call upon your authority
en tant que leader de la
and
région
your sense of responsibility
pour
as
rompre
leaders of the region
définitivement
to put
le
definitely
cycle
an end to
de
the
l'instabilité.
cycle of instability
Cela exige
that requires
un engagement
commitment
sans faille
without
en
fail
faveur de solutions
in favor of political
viables,
solutions,
une
viable
volonté
political
résolue
solutions,
de
resolute
privilégier
will
le dialogue,
to favor
ainsi que de
dialogue,
véritable
as well as
disposition au compromis.
availability
Dans
to
un espace
compromise In a space where communities are deeply interconnected beyond borders, only an approach founded on cooperation and integration will enable us to put in place the basis for sustainable peace, shared development, and collective prosperity. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, with your permission, permit me now to invite His Excellency, President of the Republic of Burundi, to deliver his statement in his capacity as outgoing chair of the Regional Oversight Mechanism of Peace, Security, Cooperation Frameworks. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Excellency,
Excellency, Mr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and the new chair of Rome and of the Framework Agreement. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the high representatives of the heads of state and the heads of delegations, Excellencies, representative of the Secretary General of the UN, Excellency, Executive Secretary of ICGLR, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I would wish to start by thanking the Almighty God who enabled us to meet here in this very good, very nice city, beautiful city of Entebbe. It should continue to guide us during the deliberations of this 12th summit of the regional mechanism and the framework agreement of Addis Ababa for peace, security and cooperation for the DRC and the region. I would wish to thank particularly our Museveni, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for the warm welcome as well as the hospitality, legendary hospitality that he accorded to us since our arrival in this nice, beautiful city of Entebbe in the Republic of Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. I wish to take this opportunity to transmit through Your Excellency the sincere and friendly greetings from the people of Burundi to the people of Uganda, as well as to the respective peoples of the signatory countries of the Framework Agreement. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 12 years have passed after the signature of the Framework Agreement undertaken the 24th of February 2013 in Addis Ababa. This agreement has the main objective of putting an end to armed conflict in the east of the DRC and resolve the causes of violence and war, repetitive wars in the region. It is also intended to establish sustainable peace, to strengthen security and promote regional cooperation for peace and sustainable development. Since the signature, its signature in 2013, and particularly since the last summit of the mechanism of its implementation held in Bujumbura in 2023, we have gone through a lot of problems. In fact, war became more devastating than before. The beginning of this year, 2025, was marked by a grave situation with the resurgency of war started by M23, supported by Rwanda. The conquering and occupation of Congolese territories in the east, and the occupation of the airport of Goma and Bukavu, as well as blockade and destruction of infrastructure caused
désastreuse,
consequences,
massacres,
massacres,
violences massives des
mass
droits de l'homme,
violations of human
conflits
rights,
des réfugiés et
refugees,
déplacés,
displaced people,
appauvrissement des
impoverishment of populations,
anéantissement des
and
activités économiques, pillage,
jeopardizing economic
etc.
activities,
Une
looting,
situation qui
situation
va de
which
mal en pis
is changing
aussi
from
longtemps
bad to
que la
worse
guerre perdure.
for as long as
Les
the
efforts
war
régionaux et
continues.
internationaux
Regional and international
en
efforts
soutien au
in
gouvernement
support
congolais
to the
pour
Congolese
le
government
rétablissement
for
de
the
la paix
establishment of
n'ont pas
peace
donné de
have not given
résultats
any
satisfaisants.
satisfactory results. Have not
La
given
communauté
satisfactory results.
est-africaine,
The East
qui
African community,
pourtant
which
avait marqué
had
des avancées
marked some
significatives
steps
dans la recherche de la
in
solution
looking
pacifique,
for
s'est heurté
a
au
pacific
manque de
solution,
volonté du M23
found
d'entamer
problems
les
with the
premiers
lack
pas
of will of
vers le
M23.
rassemblement et le cantonnement des combattants.
And it
Moi-même, en tant que
was
président
unable
du
to
sommet des chefs
finish its
d'État
work.
de la
I
communauté
myself was as
est-africaine
president
d'alors,
of the
j'ai rencontré
summit
à
of
maintes
the chief of
reprises
the head of
des
state
responsables
for the community of
du
East Africa,
M23 à
East Africa. I
pour
found that
chercher
I met so many
ensemble
times people
une issue
responsible for
favorable
M23 in Bujumbura
à toutes
to
les
look
parties au conflit.
together for a
Mais au
solution
moment
to put
où
an
on
end
allait
to
assister
conflict.
au
But
déclenchement du
when we are
processus
going
de paix,
starting on
la guerre a
a peace
résurgi jusqu'à ce jour.
process,
La force
the war continued
régionale a
all
alors
the
été
time,
obligée
and the regional force
Lié
was
bagage.
obliged to leave the
descendre
place,
sur place.
leaving leaving the
L'Ouganda et
place,
le
Uganda and
Burundi qui
Burundi,
agissent
which
aux
are
côtés du
acting
gouvernement de la RDC
side by side with the government of the DRC,
des accords
with the,
bilatéraux
following
de face
the
commune.
bilateral agreements
En plus
and
de cela,
common defense.
J'ai
Apart
pris
from that,
l'initiative
I took the
d'être
initiative
à l'écoute
to,
des
to
communautés
listen to
congolaises
Congolese
en
communities
rencontrant
by
leurs chefs
meeting
coutumiers.
their custom custom heads.
J'ai eu particulièrement
Among many others,
des
I
discussions
also
avec la
had
communauté de
discussions
Banyamulenge.
with the Nyamulenge
Et nos
community,
échanges ont été
and our
fructueux,
exchanges
car
were
même s'il y a
fruitful,
quelquefois
because
une
even if
certaine
there are sometimes
réticence due aux
some
influences
hesitance
externes,
due to
une partie
external
non
influences,
négligeable de cette communauté
a significant
se
part of,
reconnaît
of
congolais.
that community
Je tiens
recognizes
ici à
itself as
féliciter
Congolese. I
notre
wish
frère,
to
Son Excellence le
commend
Président Antoine
our
Félix
brother,
Tshisekedi
President
Tshilombo,
Antoine Felix Tshisekedi
qui a
Tshilombo,
concrétisé
who
sa
concretized
coopération
his
en les
understanding
intégrant
by
dans les
integrating
institutions de
them
l'État en
in,
tant que Congolais.
in state institutions
Après le départ de la
as
force
Congolese.
régionale,
After the
les
departure
forces
of
de
the
la
regional
SADC
force,
sont venues
forces of the
épauler
SADC
les
came
forces
to
armées de la
support
République
the
démocratique du Congo
army
pour
of
rétablir
the
la paix
DRC to
dans cette
establish peace
région.
in that region.
Mais suite
But
à
after
l'intervention des
the
forces de
intervention
défense rwandaises aux
of
côtés
Rwandan
du
armed
M23,
forces,
ces efforts
side by
ont
side
aussi échoué.
with M3 forces,
Aujourd'hui,
the efforts failed.
le Nord Kivu
Today, North
et
Kivu
une partie du Sud
and
Kivu
part of South
échappent
Kivu
au contrôle du
are
gouvernement
not in control
avec
of
toutes
the
les
Congolese government with all
qui
the
en
consequences
découlent
which
quant à
come with
l'exécution
that
des missions
as regards
régaliennes de
the
l'État congolais. La population de
service
cette partie du
delivery to
territoire
the state of
erre
Congo.
comme des brebis
The population
sans
in this part
berger.
of the territory are just moving all over
Des
the place
efforts de
without
médiation dans les processus de
any
Nairobi
services.
et de
The
Luanda
efforts of the mediation
semblent ne pas
efforts
apporter
in
de
the process
fruits
of
malgré
Nairobi
les
and
efforts
Luanda
fournis par
seem
le
not have
président angolais,
brought about any
Son
fruits,
Excellence
despite the efforts
João Manuel
made by the
Lorenzo
President
et l'ancien
of
président
Angola,
kenyan, Son
His
Excellence
Excellency João Manuel
Uhuru
Lorenzo, and the former
Je
President of
voudrais
Kenya,
cependant
His
saluer
Excellency Uhuru
toutes les bonnes
Kenyatta, had wished
initiatives
to commend all the good
prises
initiatives
et les différents
undertaken
processus
and the different processes
en Afrique ou en
in
dehors
Africa
du
or outside
continent africain
the African
qui
continent,
contribuent
which contribute
encore à la
up
recherche
to now
des
in
solutions
the
par voie
search
négociée.
for solutions
Je
through
salue les efforts
negotiation. I
déployés
commend
à
the efforts
l'échelle
made
régionale,
at regional level,
notamment par l'Union africaine,
particularly
la
by the African
communauté de
Union,
l'Afrique
the East
de
African
l'Est,
Community,
la communauté économique
the-
des États de l'Afrique centrale,
the
la
ECAS,
conférence internationale sur la région des Grands Lacs
the
et la communauté de développement de
CIRGL, and
l'Afrique australe,
the SADC,
ainsi que des
as well
efforts
as
consentis
efforts
par le secrétaire général de
made by the
l'Organisation
Secretary
des
General
Nations
of
Unies
the Organization of the
pour
Nations
rétablir la
in order to
paix et
re-establish
la
peace and
sécurité dans
security
l'est de la
in the
République
eastern part
démocratique du
of the
Congo.
DRC.
Je salue
I commend
également
also the
la nomination
appointment
du groupe
of a group
d'éminents
of eminent
facilitateurs
facilitators
pour le
for the process
processus
of
East African Community, SADC, of whom we have 2 women who support the mediator appointed by the African Union. His Excellency Nyasimbe, President of the Republic of Togo, having succeeded to His Excellency John Manuel Lorenzo, President of the Republic of Angola, whom address our gratitude for his remarkable work accomplished in the framework of the Luanda process. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at this very moment, as I talk to you, the war taking place now in the east of the DRC has reached its paroxysm, and if nothing is done, it will not only extend to other provinces of the DRC, but can also affect other countries of the sub-region. In effect, the foreign armed groups which are in this part of the DRC, taking advantage of the support of certain countries like Rwanda, are watching to take advantage of this situation. I had the chance to alert the international community and regional community on the danger presented by the extension of this war in the region. Not only this can bring about a big number of uncontrollable refugees, but it presents a chance for the criminals to facilitate arms proliferation in the sub-region, which may create tensions between certain countries. Today, I wish to commend the quick reaction of the different international fora, notably the Resolution 2773 of the Security Council of the United Nations, condemning firmly the attacks executed by M23 in North Kivu and South Kivu with the support of Rwandan armed forces, as well as taking control of the city of Goma and Bukavu. I also commend the session of the Council of Human Rights, the summit of the ECAS and the African Union Summit, which was held in February 2025, which all condemned the atrocities committed and which took the decisions and formulated recommendations which made a significant contribution in favor of peace in the region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the obstacles found could in no way stop us from commend the registration of in the 2 years gone, what we have so far achieved in this framework. High-level consultation, which I also participated in. First of all, in my capacity as chair of the East African Community, and also as the chair of the diplomatic consultations between different countries. Peaceful organization of elections in DRC should be commended. The special envoy of the Secretary General of Nations to the region, the region, in consultation of the orientations and governments to have in place, brought about initiatives of contact in the USA, Togo, Qatar, with the objective of contributing to peace in the region. I wish to thank the guarantee institutions of the agreement, the UN, the African Union, the SADC, and CIGLR for their contribution intended to implement the agreement. Excellent. During the 11th summit of the Rome, many recommendations and encouragements were made. In fact, the heads of state and heads of government reaffirmed the relevance of the agreement as a means of promoting peace and sustainable stability in the region, and requested the Technical Support Committee to start on an independent assessment and evaluation as regards the implementation of this agreement by underlying its strong points and weaknesses, and and lolook at how the signatory countries are adhering to the principles and its commitment. In fact, it's with satisfaction that I commend the work accomplished as regards the revitalization of the framework agreement, whose document will be presented to you. This work has been a result of several steps and phases, guarantee institutions and our partners, organized in Dubai and in Africa and South Africa in October and November 2023, followed by a number of meetings of the Technical Support Committee and of the material session which took place yesterday here in Uganda, in Kampala. The same way, the communique of the 11th Summit of the Rome emphasized the support to full participation of women and the youth in the prevention of conflict, consolidation of peace, and political dialogue in the region, including the process of Nairobi and of Rwanda. Encouragements were addressed to the Republic of Burundi, as well as new chair of the mechanism to organize a dialogue platform with women and the youth in the region in order to enable them to contribute to regional efforts intended to bring about peace. I am happy to announce to you that the Connect Dialogue and Intergenerational Dialogue on the youth, peace and security was talked about in the forum of the youth from signatory countries of the agreement. It was held in Bujumbura and Burundi on the 14th of December 2023. I myself, as chair of the mechanism and champion of the African Union for the youth agenda on peace and security, opened the deliberations in conformity with the agenda of 2063 of the African Union and the resolution 2250 of the Security Council of the United Nations, with testimony regarding actions in favor and by the youth. The same activities of the regional forum of women of the member countries of the Rome and the countries signatory to the agreement for peace, security and cooperation took place on the 22nd and 23rd August 24, whose theme was promote peace and regional peace program, security and cooperation. I myself also was officiated the opening of this deliberation and underscoring the role of women in the prevention and resolution of conflicts. I encourage the heads of state and of government signatory to this agreement to concentrate on the efforts intended to take in account women's voice and showing the importance of the impact of women and their role in resolving conflicts, encouraging women therefore to develop efficient strategies to build sustainable peace. In the framework of implementing the decisions and recommendations of the 11th Summit, the operational department of the group of contact and coordination of non-military measures was encouraged to follow up its commitment as regards the foreign armed groups in the DRC in all transparency with the Congolese government. The results of the mission effected in the DRC in September 2024 by the operational group of contact and coordination, the mechanism of the agreement, and the unlimited measures in the east of the DRC focused on the disarmament in order to repatriate the former warriors. And this was determined until the organization of our technical workshop to enable putting in place a legal framework. That workshop was organized in December 2024 in Bujumbura. The process of putting in place a legal framework is in place, underway. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stop this speech without talking about the role played by the different organs and different individuals in so far the success of the mission that was assigned. So I would like to note that the results were made possible thanks to the collaboration between the intelligence systems of Burundi and Congo with support of the Office of the Special Envoy of the United Nations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stop my speech on this report without talking about the contribution of Burundi as a signatory country in the implementation of the principles provided for in the agreement. First of all, I would like to remind you about the principles which the countries committed themselves. That is one, not to interfere in internal affairs of other states, not tolerate or giving any assistance to armed groups. Respect sovereignty and integrity of neighboring states. Strengthen regional cooperation, including through deepening economic integration with particular attention focused on the issue of natural resource exploitation. E. Respect the concerns and legitimate interests of neighboring states, in particular as regards the question of security. Not host and offer any protection of whatever nature to the accused people accused of war crimes, crime against humanity, acts of genocide and aggression to people under the regime or sanctions of the nations. And finally, G, facilitate administration of justice, thanks to legal justice in the Ladies and gentlemen, these commitments call upon us today, and Burundi took them very, very seriously. As regards Burundi, it has already taken a firm position and position of never to be part of conflict, but rather to be part of the solution. Burundi is determined to play a key role in the creation of a favorable environment to offer space of peace, enabling the region to flourish in tranquility. Yet in the past, Burundi was a problem. Burundi was a burden. Today it has become stable and reconciled. Peace and security are today available in Burundi, especially in the national territory of Burundi, and is separated for government. At national level, significant activities in favor of peace and development have already been undertaken, especially by orienting the youth and strengthening feminine leadership. The Burundian population is ready to participate in peaceful, legislative and communal elections to be held on the 5th of June 2025. This effect, the international community and national committee was led to look at this on 9th of May 2025 on the launching of the electoral campaigns in Burundi, which I launched myself. And during that ceremony, many candidates from different political parties were there together, hand in hand, giving this process its due position, financed by Burundi itself. This sign translates the sufficiency of maturity in our country. That is all to say that Burundi has put in place favorable conditions for stability in the region. As regards solidarity and humanitarian actions, allow me to underscore that after the war in the east of the DRC, especially at the beginning of this war 2025, Burundi received more than 120,000 refugees from Congo. On this subject, Burundi needs might-form support from its partners to be able to accomplish better these humanitarian actions. I would wish to thank the Congolese government through the First Lady's office, which joined the office of the First Lady of Burundi to assist that refugee population. I thank also local associations and religious organizations in Burundi for their compassion, which is manifested by through might-form support to the needs of refugees from Congo. And in this logic of supporting the DRC during this difficult time, not only Burundi receives children from Congo, but Burundi also helps the Congolese government in helping that population in distress within the country. As I've just said, Burundi offers space of peace to the neighbors in the region. We commend the peaceful cohabitation with neighboring countries, though we cannot be hypocrite that today there is some problem between Burundi and Rwanda, but Burundi is determined to look for getting out of this problem through dialogue, and we are expecting patience and a lot of hope. For us, we believe that in no way conflict between states can be resolved by war. We must favor that. We must favor dialogue. That's why even if you look at the causes of conflict in Burundi, in the DRC, Burundi is ready to give its contribution because it has got experience as regards national reconciliation. Allow me, as I go towards the end of my speech, to remind ourselves of the big responsibility we have and the initiatives we must support so that we may fight the root causes of the conflict in the region. In fact, the conflict in the DRC does not have origin in borders. The DRC, the Rwanda and Burundi share harmonious history since colonization. In fact, during colonization, the region colonization, Burundi was the capital of the region, including the district of Kivu and the capital of Goma. Yet, the kingdom of Rwanda and Burundi had the capital Kigali and Gitega. The three entities were peacefully living together in symbiosis, like in a federated state. After independence, an economic community of Great region was created, and the capital was Gisenyi. Its Gisenyi in Rwanda. Its objective was to promote economic region and economic integration between its members by promoting free circulation of persons, goods, and capital, as well as regional security. Already before independence, in 1958, we had already a central hydroelectric network on River Ruzizi. Today, we are taking together a third project of construction of hydroelectric dam on this same river. That should tell you that this sub-region has got some historical link which unites its member states. It's possible, therefore, to do all possible to put in evidence the conflict of this conflict and resolve it. But this conflict does not have its origin, it has its origin in the consequence of genocide in Rwanda, because the population took the path of exile, and the Rwandan government took the measure of following them on Congolese territory. Since then, the DRC has never had peace, because those pursuits were not only a consequence of total destruction of the Rwandan army of that time, but also led to the total destruction of the Rwandan army causing, therefore, proliferation of arms in civil, among the civilians. And this enabled the criminals to have arms and therefore cause trouble in the territory between Uganda, Rwanda and Burundi. And in order to resolve this problem, we must, first of all, tackle it from two angles. That's the internal side of the DRC and the interstate side. As regards regional security, we must all agree to disarm
ou mettre hors d'état de nuire tous les groupes armés étrangers qui se trouvent sur le sol congolais et nous engager conformément aux principes énoncés au point 5 de l'accord de ne pas tolérer ni fournir une assistance
even give an assistance or any assistance of any type
ensuite
to these
entamer des
groups.
questions
We should
d'intérêt
start
commun
on
liées à la vie de
issues
nos
of common interest related to the life of our respective
il y aura
peoples.
plus
In that way, there will be more,
il n'y aura
there will not be
ce
any more
climat de suspicion
this climate of
entre
suspicion
nos États.
between our states.
Ce sera plutôt
It will be
une occasion
rather
aussi de revitaliser
revitalizing
la CPGL.
the
C'est le cessez-le-feu.
agreement.
En ce qui concerne
As
le volet
regards
sécurité
internal
interne
security
en RDC,
in the DRC,
l'action concrète
the
consistera
concrete action
d'abord
will
à
first of all
garantir la sécurité de tous
to
les
guarantee
citoyens.
security of all
Et cela consiste
citizens of Congo.
à
And this
faire le cessez-le-feu
should
et le
first pass by
désengagement des
the
forces. À
ceasefire
désarmer tous les groupes
and disarm
et civils
all
armés
the
et
groups,
entamer
armed
le
groups,
processus de
and start
dialogue
on
inclusif
that
pour
inclusive
aboutir à la
dialogue
définition
in
d'un
order
avenir commun
to
à tous les Congolais.
lead to
Il
common
faudra
future.
surtout se focaliser
We should
sur les
focus
bases de la
on the
stabilité
basis of
intérieure des États,
internal basis,
qui sont
internal
notamment
stability of the
le
states,
renforcement de la bonne
which
gouvernance,
requires
la
us to
démocratie,
strengthen
de la lutte contre
good
la
governance,
corruption,
democracy,
l'exploitation
fighting
illicite
corruption,
des ressources
and
naturelles,
illegal
la
exploitation
résolution
of
du
natural
problème des
sources,
réfugiés,
resolution
chômage
of
et
refugee
etc.
problems, unemployment,
Excellences,
and so on and so forth.
Pour
Excellences,
stabiliser
ladies and gentlemen,
nos
in order to
pays et
stabilize
nos
our
États,
countries and our
nous
states,
devons
we must
capitaliser les
capitalize
atouts immenses
on the assets,
et
the big
notre
assets,
richesse
and our
humaine dont les femmes et
human
les jeunes
wealth, of whom
une place de
in which you
choix
have women
pour la paix,
and the
la
youth,
sécurité et le développement.
especially as
Mais
regards peace,
toujours,
security, and development.
l'adéquation
But
paix et
always,
développement qui
peace
sont
and development,
entièrement
which go together,
liés, doivent demeurer une
must
priorité.
be a priority to us.
C'est ainsi que
That's
notre
why
proposition
our
de plan de
proposal
paix
of a
pour
peace
l'Est de
plan
la RDC
for the east of the DRC,
insiste sur
insisting
le
on
démantèlement
dismantling
des forces
the
négatives
negative
étrangères
forces,
sur le
foreign
sol
negative
congolais
forces on the
et la création
Congo
d'un
soil,
climat de
and creation
confiance entre les
of
États
a trust climate between
reste
states
le couplet
is
et le refrain
the
de notre
refrain
musique.
of our music.
Excellence,
Excellency,
Monsieur le Président de la
Minister,
République de l'Ouganda,
President of
Excellences,
of
Mesdames,
Uganda,
Messieurs.
Excellencies,
Avant de
ladies and
clore
gentlemen,
mon allocution,
before stopping my
je
speech
voudrais
and my speech,
souligner
I would wish
que
to
je
underscore the
laisse
fact
à
that
mon successeur
I leave my
un dossier
successor
important.
a very important
C'est lui
case,
de
a
poursuivre
very important file,
la
that is
revitalisation de cet accord cadre
pursuing
pour la paix,
revitalization
la
of this
sécurité et la
agreement for
coopération
peace, security,
pour la
and
RDC.
cooperation for the DRC and the region.
L'accord cadre
The framework
revitalisé
agreement, which is
sera un outil
revitalized, will be
essentiel
a
et jouera
very
un
important
rôle
tool
crucial
and will play a
pour
crucial
asseoir
role
une paix
in
et
order
un
to bring
développement
about peace
durable
and
en
sustainable
RDC.
peace in the DRC and in the
Enfin,
region.
malgré
Finally,
les défis,
despite the
notre
challenges,
volonté
our
commune,
common
la
will,
bonne coordination
good coordination
différentes
of the different initiatives
pour la paix et le
for peace
développement,
development,
le respect
the rest
des prescrits
respect
des instruments internationaux de la Charte
as
des
provided
Nations
for
Unies,
international
la Charte
instruments
des
in the
Africaines,
Charter of United Nations and the
l'intégration
Charter
et
of
la
African Union.
solidarité
Integration and regional
nous
solidarity
permettront
will
de
enable
relever les
us
défis
to
et transformer la région des Grands Lacs
to surmount
à
the
havre de
challenges
paix
and
et
transform
de
the region
développement,
of the
car
Great Lakes
ensemble, tout est
in a
possible.
heaven of peace
C'est
development,
sûr,
because
c'est notre
together
espoir
it's possible.
que je
It's
continue
from
mes
this
propos
hope that
tout en
I'm closing
formulant
my speech
plein
by
succès à mon successeur,
wishing
Son
success,
Excellence
my
Yoweri
successor,
Kaguta Museveni,
His Excellency,
à la nouvelle
Mr. Yoweri
présidence
Kaguta
du
Museveni,
mécanisme
to the new
de
president
suivi de la
of
mise
the
en œuvre de
mechanism
l'accord cadre
of the ROM
qu'il
and
avait
of
par
the
ailleurs
agreement,
assuré
which
à l'occasion
he
du
had
9e
assured
sommet
during the
tenu en
9th
octobre
summit held
2018
in
à
October
Kampala, en
2018
Uganda.
in Kampala in Uganda.
Je vous assure,
I assure you,
cher grand frère
dear
président Museveni,
big brother,
de mon
President
soutien
Museveni, of my
et
support
de mon
and my encouragement
dans l'accomplissement
in
de vos
accomplishing
fonctions
your
à la
functions,
présidence
the
de ce
responsibilities
mécanisme.
as chair of
Que
this
vive la
mechanism.
paix, la
Long live
sécurité,
peace,
solidarité et le
and development in the Great Lakes
Que Dieu vous
region.
bénisse.
God
Je
bless
vous
you.
remercie.
I thank you.
Asanteni sana.
Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, President Ndayishimiye. Your Excellency, I would now like to request you, Your Excellencies, to perform a formal ceremony that marks the official transfer of chairmanship of Rome mechanism from Republic of Burundi to Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency, it's now my singular honor and pleasure
Thank you.
to invite you in your capacity as incoming chair of the Rome Mechanism of Peace, Security and Cooperation Framework of the DRC and the region to deliver your remarks, Your Excellency.
His Excellency Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi, the Special Envoy of the Secretary General, the Vice Presidents who are here, Vice President of Sudan, Khartoum, Vice President of South Sudan, the heads of delegations, members of the diplomatic corps, and all the people who are here. I want to thank and congratulate His Excellency Ndayishimiye for the wonderful work he has been doing for the last 2 years, as you heard. You heard his exhaustive speech talking about this problem of Congo, but in many ways, that problem of Congo has been similar to other problems in Africa since independence. We had a long discussion inside among ourselves, and I was telling Their Excellencies that I had been watching the situation in Africa as a close observer and also a participant for the last 65 years. When this problem of Congo started, we were watching. It was live on TV. They had elections in 1960, and there were two camps. One camp was of parties which were sectarian, based on ethnicity. The Bakongo, Chombe of Katanga, and so on. Lumumba had a party called MNC, which was a party of unity. You could call it a patriotic party. He won the election, but he was killed. He was killed. And from that time, Congo has never been stable. There was a huge rebellion by people called Simba. These were peasants who were supporting Lumumba. They were not well organized, but you could see they were popular and very angry, but also not disorganized, believing in witchcraft and so on. The problems went on. When Mobutu came into power, the internal problems of Congo continued, off and on. Katanga, then the rebellions of 1978, somebody called Nathaniel Mbumba. Now the problems were, you could see, we who were watching, you could see that the problems were really two. Not listening to the populations, of Congo, the government which was there was not listening to those people. But also, depending on external support, military support. When Mobutu came in, he was being supported by the UN forces. Then the French, Giscard d'Estaing sent French army there. Then Morocco, and then so on and so on. So those two parts. Not listening to the local people, but depending on external support. As long as I have external support, I don't care about the internal. That was, of course, was not only in Congo, even here, that was the problem. In Uganda, that's why Uganda had become a failed state. And in Sudan, that was the problem. Khartoum was not. So it was a big problem of politics of identity, tribes, religion, not listening to the nationals and depending on external support. Now, His Excellency referred to it, the new dimension, and also not caring about the neighbors. Mobutu never cared about the internal people of Congo, nor did he care about us. He didn't care. And he was supporting groups against Angola, Savimbi, Holden Roberto. They were in Congo against Angola, against our people. Because at that time, we had an anti-colonial effort. But Mobutu was on the other side. So don't listen to the internal, don't listen to the neighbors, and depend on external support. Now the collapse of Mobutu came. Meanwhile, in Rwanda, Burundi, there was now another problem. The problem of ethnicity, which had come up towards the independence of Burundi and Rwanda. The conflict, the artificial conflict between Hutu Tutsi, which had resulted in the massacre of the Tutsis in Rwanda in 1959. That massacre of the Tutsis generated a Tutsi diaspora. That's how these people like President Kagame, they were here, came here as young children. I think Kabarebe must have been born here. That big minister. That big minister Kabarebe was born here, in exile. In Burundi, the crisis was postponed because there were patriotic leaders with a movement called UPRONA, led by Prince Rui Rwagasore. they kept the Burundi people united. So they didn't have the crisis or the same problem. But Rwagasore was killed. Rwagasore was killed. Lumumba was killed. Rwagasore was killed. You say Mure, Français, killing you. What is killing? Assassinate, but they are there to murder, to kill. Mure, to kill. We had said the word inside there, I forgot. To kill, to die. So, Rwagasore was killed by a white priest. He's a deputy. Rwagasore was a Tutsi and a prince. He was a prince. He's the deputy. Njandandumwe was a Hutu. Was killed also. So Uprona was beheaded, decapitated. I also have some few French words. Decapitated. So now some other people who were confused, Michombero, came in 1965, 66, Michombero. What you people, you call history, I call current affairs, because all these were, I was watching. So Michombero came in now, he said now, for the Tutsis to survive in Burundi, they must kill the Hutus and they must monopolize power forever for their security. So that's how now the problem of Burundi now also became more or less like Rwanda, especially in 1972. That's what the worst. Now, the Tutsi diaspora from Rwanda who ran away went to Uganda, Congo, Tanzania, there were very many there, organized. And we tried to negotiate with Habyarimana. Habyarimana, please let these people go back to their country. Habyarimana said, no, there's no space for them. Rwanda is too squeezed. So these fellows, impatient, they organized. His Excellency referred to it here. They attacked Rwanda. We tried to negotiate to have a peace. But now, Mobutu intervenes now in Rwanda now to support Habyarimana, to support the Hutu extremists. That's how now the problem of, His Excellency referred to it, that's how the problem of Congo now, which had its own internal problems, is now linked with the problem of Rwanda. Mobutu's army was defeated in Rwanda, and together with Habyarimana, as His Excellency said, the army of Habyarimana was destroyed. Then they fled into Goma. We appealed to Mobutu to disarm them. We wouldn't listen. Because he thinks the internal forces don't matter, we the neighbors don't matter, what matters are the foreigners who are supporting them. This really, you better focus on that. Because otherwise, why was Mobutu not listening? We were here, we could have helped him. So, that's how now the problem of Rwanda gets linked to the problem of Congo. When the Tutsis organize and attacked the Hutus in Goma, and then it led to the collapse of Mobutu. So that is this whole story. But it is solvable, because here in Uganda we solved it. We had the same problems. Sectarianism of religion, sectarianism of tribes. But we exposed that misanalysis. Why is identity important? More important than interests? His Excellency referred to it in his speech. Why don't you look at trade and exchange of goods and services and building the economies for the whole area instead of tribes, religion? So we had a long discussion when we were inside there. I want to congratulate again His Excellency for the good work he has done. You had the elaborate report he gave. We are now going to, we know what the problem is. This can be solved. All of them, we sit here, we can solve them. Because this is, we are ancient people of this area. We are not new arrivals. There's nothing we don't know about all these countries: Rwanda, Burundi, Eastern Congo, Tanzania, Kenya. These are our people. So therefore, let's really solve this problem. It is easy. In my opinion, these problems are easy to solve. They are not difficult. What is difficult is three mistakes: philosophy, ideology, strategy. Once you make those mistakes on those three, then that's how a small problem becomes a big problem. So I thank everybody for coming, responding to our invitation, and I thank His Excellency and Ndayishimiye for shepherding this work in the last 2 years. So let's see what we are going to do in this phase, because we know what the problem is, and it can be solved. But we must have the political will, and the foreigners should limit their involvement, because the foreigners are the ones who carelessly embolden the mistake makers. Then the mistake makers think that we don't care about these internal groups, we don't care about the region. What is important is the external support. This is the problem I have seen here. I thank you, and let's now go for the next level.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your opening remarks. Your Excellency, this marks the open session. Now I'd like, with your permission, to propose a closed session.
Very good.
And a closed session, I would like to request the Fourth Estate to kindly take leave. There is some room organized for you there. We shall again invite you at an appropriate time. Thank you.